Welcome back. I'm Connie Sokol, your host, and it is such a joy today to continue this Disciple Thought Leader series in being able to help you meet and get to know and learn from these Disciple Thought Leaders. These women are dedicated to doing whatever in their sphere, whether it's photography, DIY, therapy, whatever it is, and doing it for Him. Today, we have the pleasure and joy of being able to talk with Wendy Jones. Hi, Wendy. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So excited. And I have to laugh. Okay. I have to, full disclosure, we're doing this podcast and I'm not kidding. Maybe 10 minutes before, we're both in workout clothes and like the sweaty face and jump in the shower and hurry and do. Now, she does an amazing job, way more amazing than me in 10 minutes. But I just got to tell you, this is how we roll. So if you are listening to this beautiful, incredibly talented woman today, and you may have a feel and desire to feel like, oh, I wish I couldn't, I feel less than, don't. Because this woman rolls it just like you and I. It is so fantastic. Let me tell you about her. She is a designer and DIY guru who enjoys serving others and helping others find their purpose. She's the founder of the Sister Project and so fun. I can't wait to tell you more about that. And loves bringing women together to teach them the power that comes when women connect and serve together. She's the mother of 4 children, ages 21 down to 9, which I can't even believe. It don't even look like it. And she loves to travel, date nights, anything required, paintbrush, and using her power tools in her shop. And she does. She uses power tools. And the cool thing is she teaches other women to use them and to look styling and boss while we do it. All right, so let's jump in. Tell us, Wendy, take us back through your journey, because what does DIY crafts, which we associate with, I'm just going to go refurnish, some furniture, refurbish it. What does DIY crafts have to do with finding your purpose? And you are making such a difference with this. Tell us your journey and this thought process and life process that you've gone through.
Well, DIY really came about for me when we bought our first home. And it was just, we're living on a budget. We couldn't afford furniture. So I did a lot of garage sale shopping and finding old pieces of furniture and just realizing I could probably paint things to make them look a little bit better. And so all of my kids had dressers that were just DIY, makeovers. And it just kind of morphed into, I could paint my cabinets. I don't like the color of my cabinets. And then it just morphed from there. And then I realized I
I
could.
stop there.
Right. I had Formica countertops. I really wanted granite, couldn't afford granite, and taught myself how to use sponges and tons of colors of paint, and was able to make my countertops look like granite using a sponge and lots of different colors on top of each other. And then, shellac the whole thing. And I fooled my friends. Everyone thought that I had granite countertops, but I didn't. So I don't know. It kind of was like became this necessity for me. It was a way to escape when I put my babies down for naps. It was like, how can I, create magic in my home and make it a more beautiful space, but on a budget, and just spiraled.
I love this. And I love the points that you bring up. I'm hearing those patterns that I hear from lots of women that, as I've spoken to them over 20 something years, it's the need to still create, even when we're mothers, this need to have a piece of us that still is expressing who we are individually, right? And developing as a person, as we love, as you know, anyone listening on here, we are mom ants, like mom comes first, but that doesn't mean that the woman gets booted out. We have to have the whole, right? All of those pieces come into play. And I love that you were so creative that you were able to say, I want to make my space. And I hear this from women too. I want to improve my space. Women are wired to see their environment and say, how can I make this better? How can I improve the environment that we live in to make it a more up-leveled, a higher, happier quality place? So as you started doing that, as you started looking around and saying, I can do this and this can make a difference, what did that lead you to next? I mean, was it, I wanted to like start teaching people how to do this, or was it, I want to figure out more about what this means to me?
Well, first and foremost, let me just back up a tiny bit. It what it really helped me do was not wallow in the fact that I didn't have the perfect house, because let's all face it, your first house is usually just kind of a stepping stone. And so what it helped me to do is just have more gratitude, because it was like, I don't have to just be like unhappy and ungrateful. I can be a part of change. And so then, people would be like, well, I really want to change my house, but I don't want to paint. Like, I have no interest in doing that. I they like to read books or whatever they like to do on the side. And so then people were like, will you come paint my cabinets? Could I hire you to do that? And then it was like, wow, I could help other people change their houses and I get paid to do it. Then I can take that money and put it back into my own home. So then it just became this great business venture, because then I could utilize my talents and make money from it. So anyway, I created my own little LLC. It was called Sawdust and Paint. And I did it with a friend, and she and I would get together and we'd paint people's cabinets. And we did that for a long time. And I mean, I've probably hand painted over something like 1,000 cabinets, and I've refurnished so many pieces of furniture. I've lost count over the years. And then it kind of just like, then it just fell flat. It was just like, well, then it's just paint. Like I can tell you paint, I could teach paint classes in my sleep, which I have done. I have taught paint classes before, but like, then I'm like, now I really want to get into textiles. I want to understand fabric and then texture and lamps and all the other stuff. So I just kind of morphed into design. So
I love this flow. I love how, and that is such a natural thing. This up level leads you to the next level, to the next level. And I'm kind of cracking up in my mind. I'm thinking those lucky, lucky women, because we had an apartment with cinder block walls. You know what I'm talking about? And we had nothing. So when I went to DI, I was so proud of myself that I wanted, at the time it was, what's that called over the window where it's like
balance.
a balance, right? But in the my day and age, it was like just a big rectangle that was looking cool, right? So I did cardboard and I did some quilt stuffing, and then I just stapled like fabric over the top. But the difference between your stuff and my stuff is mine looked home jobby. But I remember the pride that I had when I stepped back and I saw that I had color coordinated and painted an old DI clock to make it look like it was the same color format, right? So I love that you tap into this. The women want to do it, but then like me, we tried to do it. It looked horrific. And then you were able to help them and then teach them skills as well. And then I love that it actually developed into more, okay, now I can do more with this. I can now self-develop more into this design aspect, because all of it is still coming back to bless and benefit women. I love this cycle, this one eternal round. So talk to us about what happened when you started looking at the design things. That must have opened you up in other ways you didn't anticipate.
Mhm. Yeah, it really came down to people coming into my home. I never ever had to like go out and try and find business. It just kind of always found me. I host a lot of things in my home. So it's a lot of people coming to my home for bridal showers or baby showers or just some kind of a party, book club, things like that. And people coming to my home and going, oh my gosh, I love your home. Do you have a professional designer? I'm like, oh, I do this. And they're like, oh, could you come help me? So then it turned into helping people just pick simple paint colors. People are really overwhelmed at picking paint colors because it's such a big job. They don't want to get it wrong. So I really became kind of a color consultant for a long time. Worked for a team of female real estate agents, where I was going in and helping people who were selling their home pick the right color to paint so they could sell their house better. So anyway, just kind of started that way, and then it just became. I got really good at being able to figure out what size furniture you would need for your space, and spatially, I started to understand how things fit and things that went together, and then I was like, okay, my original degree from college isn't helping me with this, so I probably ought to go back to school. So I went back to school online to get my interior design degree, and got halfway through it and got severe pneumonia and nearly lost my life. And I had 3 young kids at the time, and I just threw in the towel. I was like, you know what, being a mom is more important than being a designer. So I walked away from my degree. It did not stop people hiring me. So I realized I don't need a piece of paper to have people hire me. What I know is kind of innate. It's comes super easy to me. And so I just continued on with it. And that's where I'm at, just designing.
So beautiful. And do you hear those patterns? Again, I'm always big about patterns. I love that we all come as women. Don't you find that we come to this switch point in the road where it's either you have to choose more towards your family or choose more toward, I love this personal expression. And even though I just said we all need that personal expression, being a mom and means in those moments, those moments. Sometimes there's moments where you're like, no, I need to rest. I need to do me first. And you know it. But there are those moments where you also know, no, 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 it is this first. And that piece that comes from that. And I love the learning that you got, which is, I know for myself, I didn't need a piece of paper. I really had that learning already. And that was confirmation for you to do that. Love that. So now, fast forward, you've been doing that and doing this all while raising a beautiful family. I know them. They are darling, and you are darling. Not that you haven't had your challenges. I don't want anyone out there listening thinking that she's got this fairy tale life. It looks like it because, she's gorgeous. Her house is gorgeous. Her husband is gorgeous. Everything is gorgeous, except that she is seriously real. I would just want you to feel that. You walk into her home and you sit down, because I've done it. And you sit down and she's putting out a panini and a little hummus and thing platter. And she's just sitting in cute sweats. And you just feel like, I just want to talk to you for 2 days. That's what it's like. So that's what I think is so unique about what you do. You bring to the table, not this sort of highfalutin feeling, but an everyday feeling to design and making your home, anybody's home, this beautiful space to live in. So take us through the next level where you're like, I have the skill, but I want to use it for a higher purpose. Like you have been doing it for a higher purpose, but even more specific. And you were kind of at this crossroads of, I don't know what that looks like. I can refurbish furniture and things like that, but how do I do that for a higher purpose? How do I do that for him?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting segue for sure. Um, a humanitarian trip ruined me. Let's just put it that way. My daughter and I went to Guatemala on a humanitarian trip, and I'm a lover of power tools. Like if you want to, if like my some people like food, that's the way to their heart. Way to my heart is to buy me a power tool. Like I like love a power tool, and so
Lowe's, take me there.
and so we were in these remote villages in Panajachel, Guatemala, and up in these upper mountains, and we were remudding houses and doing all these things. And um, I got put in charge of putting the bunk beds together because I was the only person that knew how to use a power tool, and it required using a power drill. And the instructions for it were in Spanish and they were sketched. And it wasn't like an IKEA thing that had all the bolts and everything. It was just like some wood that had been pre-cut and then a box of screws and a power drill. And I kind of panicked because I don't speak Spanish. I can't make, sense of these directions. But when I got looking, I could definitely see that there were 4 longer pieces. And so I'm like, okay, so those are the four posts. And then the side rails were long and then the short ends. And I could figure out what the slats were. So I'm like, I figured it out. So we built one of them. We were building 2. So 4 beds for a family in this tiny, tiny little, this little tiny hut, and that had a mud floor that had a really thin mattress on it. So a mom and her 4 daughters were sleeping on this one mattress on a floor. I don't even know how you don't wake up with a kink in your back, but we were this group that we were with was donating these beds for them. And I had put one full bed together when all of the village children who aren't educated, they have no school there, they had all gathered around the door of the hut and were watching me put this together. And so I had someone help translate for me, and had the 14-year-old girl who lived there come in and help me build the second bed. And I was able to help her just like, just, I don't know, do it for herself. It's kind of like the feed the man a fish and they can fish for a lifetime, eat for a lifetime. And so she came in and put her bed together, and just this joy went from like, I could put something together and help somebody, and it felt so good. But then she came in and did it for herself, and it was like this life-changing moment happened. Like I felt so awesome being able to watch her put her own bed together. So the next day we went to a different village and put together more bunk beds, but this time I didn't even try and do it by myself. I immediately brought the father in, and then eventually the teenage son, and I had them putting it together. I was just showing them how to use the drill. And it was so amazing to watch what happened to their faces. It went from a look of curiosity, like, what are you doing in my house? And I don't understand what you're doing, to they just had this pride come over them because they were doing it he was doing it for his own children. It was just so rewarding. And so I left that humanitarian trip going, how can I do this for the rest of my life? I want to teach people not just decorating tips, because that's great, but I would love to teach people power tools and the opportunity to change things in their own home, but do it for themselves. I don't want to do it for them. And so anyway, it's just turned into, I've had a lot of women come to me and ask me to teach power tool classes. That's great. That I could make money doing that. That would be fine. But like, what if we could like teach people power tools, and then we could also serve somebody in our own community that really needs it? And so that's how the Sister Project was formed. So.
And this is phenomenal. Okay, so she created this sister project. And I remember when you came to the retreat, you're like, I'm trying to figure out what I need to do and how I need to go about it. And then being able to funnel it down to that perspective, that lens of how, like that higher purpose, coming up with that sister project idea. And you were nervous about this, like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this, and I want to do it quickly, but I don't know if I can get the help that I need and the sponsorships that I need. And how do I do this? And who is it that we do it for? And blah, 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 blah. But then it seemed like once you clicked, once you made that decision of this is what I feel to do, and this feels right, then it just moved. Take us through that.
So beginning of February, I just was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this sister project. I'm going to try and do it before the end of February, which was a crazy timeline, being that we were making over 2 spaces for this family in need that had been previously nominated. And we found this family that has 4 children. All 4 of them have severe health problems. They're in and out of hospitals, in and out of surgeries. And we really felt like they were deserving. It was a great choice. It was a perfect family, but they wanted their daughter's room done, and they wanted their master bedroom done. Well, no, she wanted her kids' room done, but I really thought I would want to do their master bedroom. When I saw their master bedroom, I was like, I want to do both rooms. And so I went.
Wait, I'm gonna interrupt right there, because I remember you telling me why you wanted to do the master bedroom, because here's this mom who has 4 special needs kids, right? And
Mhm.
she's taking care of them. And it's a very, very, very small house. I can't
Mhm.
remember the square footage, it's very small. And
Mhm.
she's all focused on the kids. And then you were like, wait a second, this master bedroom needs to happen. Why was that?
Because she doesn't have a place to escape to. She has nowhere to go and just rest and restore. It was a tiny house. There isn't like a family room and a sitting room and a den. There's nowhere to go. It's probably a 1,500 square foot house, and she just had nowhere to go. And I was like, she needs to have a sanctuary. She needs a place where she can escape at the end of the night and feel like she deserves that beautiful space. And so, but she really, of course, the kind person that she was, really wanted, you know, something to happen in her daughter's room. And I said, if there's one thing you could have happen in this house, what would you have? And she showed me her daughter's room, and she's like, I just dream of having bunk beds in here. And I'm just, the waterworks turned on because this whole thing came about because of bunk beds. And then she wants bunk beds. And I was like, oh, that is my answer. I'm so moving forward with this. So it just turned out great. I went in with a goal of like, I really wanted to raise $2,500 to do it. The power tool class that you come to do this at her house was $189 per person. So I thought I could get some of the money from the people who participate, but then we're going to have to go out and help raise some money. And my goal is $2,500. We raised $6,500, completely made over the 2 rooms in a matter of 4 weeks from start to finish. And I just can't wait to keep going. I'm so excited. So anyway.
I love, and it culminated in the day where the women came together and you all banged out so much of that in that one day. I mean, you had gotten supplies and gotten sponsors and things like that for the preparation of it, but it really came down to that one day. Tell me about the experience of doing that side by side with these women, a lot of them who had not used power tools before, right?
Mhm. None of them had used power tools. In fact, there were some women in the group that admitted they'd never picked up a paintbrush because they were scared they were going to mess up. So we went from, complete newbies to people which I thought I was going to have this great class. Like I was going to be able to teach women, the miter saw and the power gun, the nail gun. And I was so excited to teach all that. But once they got going, it was like the wheels were so in motion that it seemed weird to like break everybody up and okay, now everybody go to the next station. These women just worked so well. And within probably a half an hour to an hour of the class starting, I was watching women who had just learned the miter saw from me teach other women the miter saw. They were so scared of the noise and the pulling it down, and they had to have goggles on. They were afraid they were going to chop their fingers off. They were so scared a half hour before. And now I walked outside and they're teaching other women how to make the marks on the wood and pull the miter saw. And so it became more to me of like, I thought it was going to be this class of teach power tools and at the same time we get to serve. What I didn't realize was the power that would come when women get together. They immediately want to teach other people how to do it. And so by the end, I felt like we were all teachers. We were all teaching each other how to put the board and batten up, how to use the level, how to caulk the holes. It just was this beautiful experience from really bringing in women who had no idea what they're doing. And to the end of the day, they were like, I could so do this in my own house. This is totally tackleable. But then to bring the family home and show them their 2 rooms, and everybody just left with this warm, fuzzy feeling. But at the same time, they walked away with skills for their own house. So it was a win-win for everybody. It was great.
Oh, like triple win, like 5 levels of win. And it's giving me goosebumps up and down my arms. I know the listeners are probably feeling the same way. Like you can just feel the camaraderie of the women. And this, by the way, was all on site. It's all at this lady's house and they're making it happen. And they've got a deadline at the beginning of the day and to the end of the day. And I watched a video on it where you started off with this beautiful thought and this coming together as women and this higher purpose of we're going to connect together and we're going to help this one make this happen. And like you said, they ended up going home with now skills that they'll use for a lifetime. Absolutely love. Oh my gosh. What did you decide to do from there to springboard from that? Did you say, okay, one and done? Or are you like, okay, I think we need to keep going with this and replicating?
Yeah. So my goal is to do 2 a year, sorry, 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall. So I would love to do a total of 4. It's then now morphed into something a little different. So in the fall, we are actually doing the first Sister Project retreat where we're taking anywhere between 15, 18 women to a cabin kind of lodge up in Heber, Arizona. And we're going to do a 3-day retreat. We're going to do Connect, Heal, and Serve, where we have a therapist and a life coach and myself on site. And we're going to really bring women together, allow them to rest, rejuvenate. We're going to have some yoga. We'll have a masseuse up there. We're going to take some nature hikes, but we have We all will be presenting things. There are going to be breakout groups where we do exercises together that will bring therapy. They can have one-on-ones with the therapist and talk through any PTSD they have or issues that they have. Our life coach is specializing in teen parent relationships, so you can have time with her. So it's going to be this opportunity to connect and heal. And then 3 weekends after the retreat, we come together and do the sister project on site of another needy family. So so we build these relationships really strong, and then we all get to go and serve. And, it really fills this need of, I have so many friends asking me, well, how do you afford to go and do all these humanitarian trips? And really it's like, we need to realize we have humanitarian needs right here in our own home states, and we just need to look for them. So this is a way for people to get to have that humanitarian fill, but not have to get on a plane to do it. So it's a win-win.
Oh, love everything you said, and be able to do it while they have families, right? Because they can't take off for 2 weeks every time to go to a humanitarian thing, but they can do it right there for a day or for a weekend to be able to go and get that grounding with each other and then prepare to serve other people. And again, the takeaway is going to be coming back and bringing it to their families too. So fantastic. Women listening are going to say, okay, wait, I want to do that. How do they get in touch with you?
Well, for now, they can message me on my Instagram. They can find me at restore_Arizona on Instagram. I also have my the sister project dot us, or you say US, but I like us, the sister project dot us on Instagram. You can message me there and find us there. And you can start to find all the information. I'm starting to leach out information every day about our upcoming retreat and upcoming project. But then we'll have the website, which will be live hopefully in about a week or two. So
Amazing, amazing journey. So that's restore_Arizona on Instagram, or the sisterproject.us US. And you can go on there and get all the information that you need. And we're going to put that in the show notes. I love this. I know it's going to stir women's souls because it's just such a 2 for 3 for 4 for, where it's so layered, doing it for him, doing it for others, with others, and doing it so that these things are passed on and around with each other, creating bonds, creating change. I mean, it just doesn't get any better. Wendy, what an absolute joy to talk with you today. And it is my joy and privilege that I get to work with you every week in our leadership circle. But I just want you to know, every time you share something about this, the joy that this brings me. In fact, we flew down to connect with her, and she had t-shirts made that had the sister project. And the funny thing was that she hadn't come yet to connect with us. She was doing family banquet. This is how we roll. It's mom stuff, got a sports banquet, and then meet up with us after, right? And so we were wearing sister project t-shirts as we were looking for a restaurant to eat. And every time we stopped at a place, because they were all so full, they were like, oh, what's a sister project? So we were telling everybody what this was. And every single time they're like, that sounds amazing. I'm like, you don't even know the half. Check it out. So anyway, ladies, as always, if you want to know more, check out restore_Arizona on Instagram, or the sisterproject.us us on Instagram, and find out more and get connected with this woman. You definitely want to hit this retreat. Such great stuff in store. And as always, love that you joined us for this. If you love this, then check out more. You can go below and rate, review, and subscribe, or you can go to ConnieSokol.com, get all our freebies, join our challenge for learning your find your purpose. And you can also find out where I'm speaking next, so you can come connect with me, get all the goodies, join our retreats if you want, or our leadership circle. Check it out, ConnieSokol.com. We have everything you need to move forward to find and fulfill your purpose. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today.
thank you.
And remember, thank you for taking your next step in living your purposeful, organized, and joyful life.